Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.
Hello and welcome to this epic edition of the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok.
Today the debate is asking an all-important question: should African nations erect borders to secure their citizens?
Proposing the motion, we have Kagumo High, who have clearly stated to their opponents that the bee that hums less stings most. As for the opposers, who are these fine ladies from St. George's Girls High School, say that they're here to break the jinx. What the jinx is, we'll find out.
We'll begin with the first proposer. You have 3 minutes.
Why did the chicken cross the road? You want to find out? Just listen. I am Samson Karaoke from Kagumo High School, ready to propose the motion that goes, African governments should erect border fences to secure their citizens. 39 years ago, South Africa erected a border fence along its border with Mozambique to prevent the spillage of the violent revolution from Mozambique into South Africa. Now, 27 years later, the presidents of both Mozambique and South Africa signed a treaty to tear down the wall. 12 years later, 2014, the wall still stands. This is because South Africa has realized, both of the countries have realized the importance of a border fence. They have realized that the border fence is of great importance, that insecurity is an issue of great importance, that it has not been overlooked. There are so many challenges that are facing Africa, more so in relation to insecurity. And therefore, it was not just easy. It was not just a matter of deciding to put down the wall. No. They decided that it was high time they will deal with the issues that are affecting them. Now, when you talk of a border, what do we mean by a border? What exactly is a border fence? It is a barrier fence that prevents illegal immigration, that controls movement of people in and out of a country. It acts like a command. It will say stop, and the person will stop. Not just anyone will enter into a country. It will say you can come in, then you can come in. If you can't, then stop. You can't get into that country. These border fences cannot therefore be overlooked. And that is why I stand strongly ready to propose that these border fences are supposed to be there in so many African countries, if not all of them. Now, smuggling of goods has been an issue that has greatly affected Africa. Now, a good example is Kenya. The presidential escort car was stolen not many months ago. Where was it recovered? In Uganda. It was recovered in Uganda, where it had been smuggled and taken out of the country. Now, the fence, assuming that the fence was there, that certainly will not have happened. That could have been avoided. With the fence there would have been specific entry points where the manning of the vehicles that get in and out, manning of the people who get in and out would have been done effectively by the officers, and that would certainly not have occurred. We have the illegal trade of bananas and coffee that used to happen between Kenya and Uganda, that brought forth the term biashara ya magendo, that it is in the current Kamusi and Kiswahili dictionaries, or rather as you will call them, Kamusis. It is from that trade that word was derived, and therefore these fences cannot be overlooked. These fences will have avoided that. These fences therefore serve a great purpose for Africa. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes.
It is reason and not passion which must guide our deliberation, guide our debate, and guide our decision. My fellow opponent did not actually give us a very elaborate definition for our motion, so I would like to state it for you. First of all, it means the border fence, it actually means a wall, bomb, or a fence constructed to limit movement of people across a certain line of border. Note, limit. Then it is very lovely that my opponent actually talked about South Africa. He didn't tell you the reason why they decided to bring it down. One of the reasons was because within that period that they actually put up the fence, more than In those 3 years, actually, there were more deaths caused compared to the deaths that the Berlin Wall caused all the years in history. And this information, we got it from South African Catholic Bureau for Refugees, if you want to confirm. And most of all, the local people in South Africa call it the snake line of fire. Reason being, about 89 people were electrocuted on that fence during those years. So when we say to secure our citizens, it means to protect them from harm or danger. But what did the fence bring? The fence actually brought harm and danger to most people who wanted to cross. Either they were the citizens or other people from other countries. Let us think about this. The Rwanda people, during their genocide, if there were borders on those fences, do you think that the people who actually were able to run away from those genocide, would they have survived? They would have been locked into those countries and they would have died with the rest of the people who unfortunately died during the genocide. Just imagine how many lives would have been lost compared to the lives that were lost when the border fence was not there. And please, my fellow people, just remember this. The African country they are developing countries. So we do not have that money as per now for the building and construction and the labor required to build this fence. So before we even start about thinking of building a fence, why don't we first curb the things that are disturbing us in this African country? Let us look at within. An example of Kenya itself. There are many vigilante groups in this country. Are they from outside? No, they're from within. We have the Mungiki. Let's take Nigeria. There's the Boko Haram. They're not from outside. So it is quite ironical that we want to bring about border fences to secure our people, yet within the country itself, there is still insecurity. Let us work with what is within, and then later on, we can deal with now what is without. So, I can tell you this. For good ideas, true innovation, you need human interaction. And the only way you can get that human interaction is by not limiting the movement of the people. Thank you.
You can now get rebuttals, beginning with the proposers. You have 3 minutes.
Mbwa hafi maji akiona ufuko. For those who do not understand Kiswahili, the sagacious maxim simply states that there is no way we can die because of all these acts that are being caused by the porous borders we have, yet you have the solution of building a wall right in front of us. This border between South Africa and Mozambique had brought more harm than good. Now, this border was used to determine the boundaries of the Kruger National Park and has helped to reduce poaching in South Africa. Another thing, you're also talking of people dying on those borders. Or do you think that these governments are so incompetent enough just to build the wall and let it stand? No. They also build the wall and also bring the policemen there to man the border. So even if the border is there, just in case this person gets past the police officer, the border will take care of him. The border wall is going to take care of him. And I think you supported us at some point when you said that if there was a border between Rwanda and Uganda, there could not have been a genocide in 1994. Thank you for your support. Because actually, if there was that border fence, these civilians could not have moved from Uganda to go to Rwanda and shoot the Rwandan president in his plane, leading to the death and the start of the genocide. See now? And who told you that building the wall is expensive? If only we start by stopping corruption, building the wall will be an easier task. Okay, far from that, what do you see? A bottle of water, isn't it? But the thing is that this water is in a bottle. No water is coming out. Imagine that this is the border fence. This is the border fence, and you see that no water is coming out. What if I do this? I do that. Ouch. I do that. What do you notice? The water comes out. This means that if we have a border fence, and assuming that these are the people that are outside the country, this is our country here, and these are the people who are the enemies of our country. If we open our borders to them, they're going to enter into our country, and in case they've got bad thoughts or bad intentions against us, we are really going to suffer the consequences. And also give an example of the China Wall. It was built between 221 to 207 BC. It is 10 meters tall, and it has got 25,000 stations to position the armies in case of attack. That was then. Look at how China has grown because of that wall. There have been no attacks, and China has been able to develop its economy such that it has moved to go and develop other countries. Food for thought. Thank you.
Opposing team will hear your cross-examination. You have 3 minutes.
I am Mary Mwangi from the St. George's Girls Secondary School, Nairobi, and I am here to oppose the motion that states African governments should erect border fences to protect their citizens. First of all, our first proposal, let me ask you, I am unwell, right? I am feeling bad. The disease is inside me. What will I do? Will I build an armor around myself to keep away the disease, and yet it is inside me? Do I look to keep away what is outside, and yet what is ailing me is inside? Again, you said that the border, provides, it limits the movement of the people. Or rather, it keeps the people in, and it prevents the bad people from coming in. Well, here's what I have to say. As humans, as it is of our nature, we're clever. We find better ways to improve things, to do things better. A human mind will not remain in the same place. A human mind develops. You build a wall, I find a way to cross that wall. I find a way to get over that fence. I will not remain in the same place. Reason being, I am a human. I go to my second proposal. You tell me that we supported you when we said that if there was a border between Rwanda and Uganda, the people wouldn't have been able to move. Let me ask you, how sure are you that these people moved through land? How sure are you? Do you have a guarantee? I don't know. There are other means of transport. There is air, there is rail, there's even water. Although, let's remove water because Uganda is a landlocked country. So we still have air and we still have rail. How can you assure me that they use the road? I don't know. Another thing, we're saying that we have the water and we have the lid, okay? So the bad people are the water, and the lid is the border. So when you open the border and we pour in, the people are going to come. How sure are you that those people are not already in our nation? How can you prove that to me? These things have been happening in our country. It is not the first time we're going to have terrorists in our country. How can you assure me that building a border will keep these people out? How? And yet, right now, we have border checkpoints. We have places where there are security people standing there. They are always there. We have the army at all those places. What proof can you give me that a border will be able to keep these people out if they're already getting in? How sure are you that even those people who are working at the border are not in cohesion with those terrorists to come and attack our nation? How can he prove that? And I'd like to leave you with this. Listen to the words of the wise ones. Man is not an island. We cannot live alone. Building a border means enclosing ourselves. What does it show? It shows fear. Are we a fearful country? Do we fear change? Do we fear development? Ask yourself, are you a Kenyan? Do you fear change? Because, seriously, restricting myself, it just shows how fearful I am. Explore, see the wonders. Thank you.
Bob Kolimo, we salute you. We salute the M-Pesa shop owners. They have helped us, Kenya at large, to love our country more. Long live Bob Kolimo. Long live Safaricom.
Take part in the M Challenge by sending your short song, rap, or poem about Safaricom M-Pesa on WhatsApp, and you could win 1,000 shillings in Safaricom airtime.
I'm Sheka Yunus from Olympic High School, and my question goes to the proposers. You talked of constructing borders. What if that country is an island, for example, Madagascar? How will that border be effective? Thank you.
I am Brian Mora from Olympic High School, and I have a question for the opposers. You said that how can we be sure that those people are still inside our country? But take this example for the Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Even in Kenya, we are feeling they are the effect of their work. But if we had put a border fence there, we would have prevented how they came into our country and the effect that they had. Thank you.
Third proposer, you may respond.
The panel of judges, scholars present, the main role of any existing government is to provide security to its citizens. Note, provide security to its citizen. By construction of a wall or a border fences, it's one of the government policies to implement the immigration policies by doing it physically. This early morning, I tried to get out of this very gate in the Strathmore institution. And what happened? I was prevented from getting out. On looking around, I realized that they have got a very, very conspicuous wall. What does that mean? It leaves us with a common entry point in and out of the institution. That means we are secure. That's why I stand here and I feel secure. However, I feel insecure because the beauty is over here. Not, beauty is over here. They can come here courageously and support that we do not have border fences which are going to boost our security. That's why you have realized I've kept my extreme left because they are cause to worry. Because if they are not for the construction of the border fences, they are for insecurity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Daily Nation's newspaper, dated 24th this month, on the issue on the county news, it was talking about Nyamira County. And do you know what Nyamira County had? The county government of Nyamira is bringing up a policy in which it will introduce homestay. Homestay simply involves tourists coming and spending their time in among the families. They will have that opportunistic moment to stay with the families. But to be allowed to keep those tourists from other parts of the world, you must meet one condition. And the condition is, who can guess? I know you'll give me very outrageous answers, but the simple condition is you must fence your property. Now, if a single county government can think of fencing a homestead to protect tourists, whom I believe most of them will not be from Africa, then why should not African governments think of bringing up walls, border fences that will protect its own citizens? Now, the very last example, the Ebola hit states of West Africa. A man went to Sierra Leone from Guinea, and he went through the bushes. Assuming there were physical walls, he could not have managed to get to Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Third opposer, you may respond. You also have 3 minutes.
You must not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. Effie Loisa Kinyi from St. George's Girls Secondary School. First of all, I would like to answer the questions from the audience. You asked about other means of transporting the vigilante groups. The vigilante groups do not only come through the border fences. There are other means of which the Al-Shabaab, of which you refer to the Al-Shabaab from Somali, they do not only use the entry points. Be aware, we have air and we have water, so they can use planes and they can use a means of ships. The second question, the fear, about fear. Fear, my fellow colleague here, meant fear of getting involved with other people, fear of developing. We are a third world country. We need to develop. Get it from me. We need to develop as a people, as a country, and as a nation. Let me get to my points. Wow. Ebola, a disease. Who said Ebola only is transported or transmitted through the border fences? Can you get this straight and clear? We have means of air. People can be transported into Kenya through planes and they're carrying the same disease into Kenya. And then people with, not necessarily Kenya, but also other African countries. And you don't know whether that person is carrying Ebola, the disease, or not. So Ebola is not brought about by only border fences. Let me get to my points. It is absurd, very absurd, that we are for border fences, and yet my colleagues have said here they don't offer us enough security. People, it is a high time, Africa, we should reason out. My point here, I can see the memes right now. Spend $1 billion on a border fence. Immigrants, note my point, immigrants spend $10 on a ladder. Seriously? Though immigration is great for the African economy, and our obnoxious obsessions of putting or keeping out people is detrimental to the persons of other nationalities. We should allow people for change, development. Where do you think we are going to get cure for Ebola if we do not associate with other people from other African countries? Africa, no man is an island. We need to interact. The same way I'm interacting with you, the same way Judge Major and Booker will interact and get to the point and say who wins or who loses. I bet this motion, we all have to come to an agreement. Fences is not the better idea.
What that proposal really meant to say is that the man who went through Sierra Leone from Guinea posed a physical danger by going through the bushes into these countries. And if this happened, and because the man had contracted Ebola. So if he went this way, he posed a physical danger for people in these countries from contracting Ebola. So that's why we need border fences where these people can be restricted from moving. And again, a border does not mean physically fencing our country. No, we must also include use of the digital methods. For example, installing of sensors and radars. You're talking of these people can pass through the air. Yeah, okay, they'll pass through the air. Fine, but we can use radars to detect them as they go through this air. Another thing is that this border wall cannot be necessarily used alone. It can also be used it can be integrated in a plan to control the movement, the illegal movement in and out of countries. Not only building the border, it can be used in it can be incorporated in a plan. Genghis Khan once said that the more, the merrier. Join us because I am sure we have earned the attention of the audience. Thank you.
Solutions other than border fences, we have land surveying, creating property maps, and the development of police forces as resignified in the landscape. Or else, we could also expand capacity to defriend and remove undocumented immigrants. The cost is what African countries are suffering from. We do not have money, and yet people are suffering from food shortages, diseases, and yet you want to build a border fence? Seriously, that is inhumane. People, my last words, the dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate. For the stormy present and future, as our circumstances are new, we must think anew and act anew, and so must we. We need to look at other issues at hand. That is food. Don't just go and think about creating border fences. That is not right, and yet we are people in Kenya and Africa are suffering. To make our tomorrow more rewarding, more fulfilling, and more compelling because of the decisions we make right now. Not personally for me, but personally for Africa. I stand for Africa, and I stand for justice.
To Kagumo, I think I have watched you, and there has been a good consistency in terms of your growth as debaters. I think there was a bit of interchange from the first speakers to the other, which is acceptable. But I think I'll point out to John, who I know most. You're a great speaker, but today I think time wasn't on your side, and at times you had some bumpy rides.
St. George's, good examples. I like the fact that, when we talk about Ebola, which is something that is very close to us, Effie brings in the point that there is need for interaction so that we find solutions to this problem. I think all the best to the two teams.
the problem here is within the country. So erecting border fences, is it going to be a solution if the problem already is within the country? Although I know it was a clever way, because I think you did not have a direct answer to that particular question. Nonetheless, the two teams have done well.
The judges saw it very fit to give Kagumo High School 70.2%. Please give them a round of applause. As for St. George's Girls, the judges gave you 71.4%, and therefore you're the winners for the debate.
The very marginal win there shows that it was a great debate, so bravo to both teams. It's a game of numbers, so who knows who will proceed. But until next time, from the Great Debaters Contest, I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Nyambok. Catch you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.